Hi everyone, this is Dr. Nitin Chhoda, and in this training video I'm going to talk to you about the good news in the controversial new jobs report, and I'm going to answer the question, are all the economists wrong about unemployment? Are we actually going to see a V-shaped recovery, a sharp rebound in the economy? I'm going to address three things in this training video. The first is the difference between short-term and long-term unemployment. The second, I'm going to address the controversial misclassification error that took place in the recent jobs report. And number three, I'm going to talk about some encouraging signs that lie ahead and what this means for you. If you're not an existing subscriber yet, please click the subscribe button below. Please enable notifications so you get an instant update. And please click the like button because that really helps out the YouTube algorithm. That would mean a lot to me, and that is your vote of confidence in me. So let's get started. Now, according to a recent article on CNBC, the job losses over the past few months, in fact, the job losses reported in May 2020 were at 21 million individuals. This is the worst since the Great Depression. If you take a look at this chart on your screen here that says jobless rate compared to Great Depression era levels, and you can see that this is monthly unemployment data from the National Bureau of Economic Research and Bureau of Labor Statistics, you'll see that the data has been horrific. And you'll see that in May 2020, there were 21 million individuals who are unemployed. Now, there is a silver lining here. The long-term unemployment rate, which takes into account individuals who are unemployed for 6 months or more, that still stands steady at 1.2 million individuals. The real danger for the economy will be if that rate starts to creep up, because that would indicate chronic unemployment. That would indicate even more trouble, a much more dire situation for individuals because they've been unemployed for longer than 6 months. So thankfully, that's staying steady at 1.2 million. And the hope is, the anticipation is that doesn't tick up. In short, individuals who've lost their jobs quickly regain their jobs, and they don't classify as individuals who are long-term unemployed. Now, if you take a look at this chart on your screen, this chart outlines the duration of unemployment from the Bureau of Labor Statistics. Take a look at the chart all the way from January 2020 to May 2020. Now, you'll see the lightest shade of blue, which is right at the top of the chart. That corresponds to individuals who've been unemployed for 27 weeks or longer. That essentially is long-term unemployment. Now, the good news is, if you take a look at that light blue section at the top of the chart, that has been staying steady from January all the way through to May 2020. Now, let's take a look at the color at the bottom of the chart, which is the darkest shade of blue, and you can see that that corresponds to individuals who've been unemployed for less than 5 weeks. And then the other shade of blue, which is a slightly brighter shade of blue, which is 5 to 14 weeks. Now, you can see that that's starting to increase in May 2020 as opposed to April 2020 because individuals have been unemployed for a longer period of time. The real danger again for the economy is if that light blue shade starts to increase, because that means chronic unemployment. That could lead to homelessness, that could lead to higher levels of crime, and that could lead to the kind of problems that we don't want to see in any society. So and then you can see another shade of blue that corresponds to 15 to 26 weeks. So really the big change from March, April and May is that the portion that corresponds to 5 to 14 weeks has been increasing, because a lot of individuals who were in the less than 5 weeks bracket are now getting bumped into the 5 to 14 weeks bracket because they're essentially unemployed. Hopefully a lot of my subscribers have been getting unemployment benefits to help you through this crisis. But those trends indicate that individuals have been unemployed for several weeks, but the long-term unemployment rate is still steady at 1.2 million individuals. And as long as that doesn't creep up, in other words, hopefully, if we take a look at this in June, July, August, September, the dark blue portion, in fact, all the blue portions become smaller and smaller, and it looks like how it was in January and February, because we want to be back at January and February. We don't want the problems that began in March to escalate into April. And then in May, those graphs kind of change, those percentages change. What we want is to go back to January and February, and that's what we should hopefully get to. And the other thing is, because of all the state mandated shutdowns, because of all the social distancing that was enacted in late March, in April and May, that's what actually leads to individuals getting unemployed. This is a major shock to the system. This is a major shock to millions of families who are experiencing short-term unemployment. Because of those short-term things, things, we are starting to sort of see the entire employment scenario change, and that's what the graph was revealing. Now, the flip side of this is, as states start to reopen, as the social distancing guidelines and the mandates are relaxed, individuals should, as long as they feel safe, be able to get back to work, and there should be a quick rebound in the employment rate. In other words, individuals who belong to the less than 5 weeks or the greater than 5 weeks category essentially fall out of that category because they're now employed. In fact, the suffering is likely to get worse the longer it lasts. The $600 a week federal booster that I've talked about in other training videos is going to end on the 31st of July. So individuals after the 31st of July, unless the $600 a week federal booster is extended, and based on what I'm seeing right now, it's not likely to get extended because the Republicans do not want that extended. But because the deadline of the 31st of July is getting closer and closer, a lot of individuals are going to start to feel really stressed out, really desperate, because again, the longer this lasts, the more dire the situation gets. And this is where the most recent jobs report comes in. And there was some controversy regarding the most recent jobs report. According to an article on the Washington Post, the headline read, "A misclassification error made the May unemployment rate look better than it is." Here's what happened. So in a nutshell, what the article basically said is that a misclassification error had occurred in the May jobs report. So when the May jobs report was released by the Bureau of Labor Statistics, it included a note at the bottom, quite strange because this is highly unusual. It included a note at the bottom saying there had been a major error, indicating that the unemployment rate likely should be higher than the widely reported 13.3% rate. The special report said that if the misclassification error had not occurred, the overall unemployment rate would have been about 3 percentage points higher than reported, meaning that the unemployment rate would have been about 16.3% in the month of May. So this 16.3% is a full 3 percentage points higher than 13.3%. Now, in all fairness, this would still have been an improvement over the April unemployment rate, which was 19.7% if we're applying the same standards. Now, regardless of whether the unemployment rate is 16.3% or 19.7%, a long period of unemployment has several negative consequences for us. It can affect our state of mind, make us more anxious, make us more depressed. It can force us to take jobs that we were not originally trained to do because there'd be a skill mismatch between what you were trained to do and what you're doing now. It forces individuals to make adjustments in their career that they would otherwise not want to do. It can cause a lot of us to lose health insurance. And here's another thought about why the real unemployment rate, the actual unemployment rate, may be significantly higher than the 16.3% that could be attributed to the May 2020 jobs report. A lot of individuals are not even out there looking for jobs because this is a horrible time to go out there and look for a job because you're concerned for your own safety. You don't want to go out, you're not looking for a job. And those numbers will actually not be reflected in the unemployment rate because the official figure does not include individuals who've given up looking for work over the past several months. But in the end, I think there is some good news, and this is what brings me to what lies ahead and why I'm optimistic. Despite this short-term crisis, I'm optimistic because of two really important pieces of information that no one's really talking about. Because honestly, and I want my subscribers to know this, when you read the news, when you watch the news thrives on negative information. They thrive on giving you bad news because that's what gets them more viewers, because controversy sells. Here's the fact, and here's the interesting and the optimistic data that I noticed in the jobs report. Firstly, the economy added 2.5 million jobs in the month of May. So this is a good sign because these are early indicators of a quick economic recovery. I can speak from my own personal experience. I buy rental properties all across the country. I've actually continued buying rental properties for two reasons. Number one, the property prices have stayed steady. They haven't gone down. They haven't crashed. And number two, all the tenants that I work with, that my management companies that I hire work with, all the tenants are signing new leases. They're paying rent on time. So the underlying economy, the underlying structure, in my opinion, in my humble opinion, is strong, and we will get through this. I'm one of the few voices on YouTube and on the internet speaking about the optimism, speaking about the fact that I see a good recovery, I see a strong recovery, and I want us to keep the faith and I want us to get through this. I know a lot of us are extremely unhappy, are disillusioned with the Republicans, with the Democrats, and with the fact that they can't get more stimulus checks out. I get that, but I'm talking about the underlying structure here and why I think the underlying data looks strong. 2.5 million jobs added in the month of May, despite the most horrific economic crisis that we've seen in the history of our country, I think is a good sign. There's one more important statistic. Around 73% of the 21 million unemployed individuals who are in the unemployment data that came out in the May 2020 jobs report, 73% of these individuals are on temporary layoff and they are expected to return to work once business rebounds, which could speed up the overall recovery. So almost 3 out of 4 individuals who are part of this 21 million set of unemployed individuals, if you will, have been temporarily laid off. So once their businesses reopen, once the states reopen, once the social distancing guidelines are relaxed, then they will be able to get back to work. Now, safety is an important consideration that can never ever be disregarded. I have done another training video on our attitude towards work and whether we should go back to work and how safety plays into that and what your rights are as a worker and how you can talk to your employer about that. But this video was focused on the underlying economic data. There is a lot of doom and gloom out there, but I want my subscribers to know that we will get through this. I believe in the underlying system. I have my reservations about the politics of this situation, as I'm sure you do as well. But I believe in the underlying system. I believe in the strength of the US economy. And I do believe that all of us, or most of us, will get back to work. Based on this data, 73% of the 21 million unemployed individuals are on temporary layoff and are expected to return to work once business rebounds. So again, once the states start to open up, once businesses start to open up, a lot of us will be able to get back to work. Some industries will be hit harder than others, like tourism, like restaurants, like hospitality, like retail. But I do believe a lot of us will be able to get back to work, especially a lot of us in healthcare and in healthcare industries, because I believe healthcare will be the first to rebound, and I do believe that hospitality will be the last to rebound, but ultimately everything will rebound. I appreciate you all for watching this video training. I'm grateful that you took the time to watch this. Please click the like button if you learned anything new from this training video. That's a way that you can thank me. I would really appreciate that. That will help the YouTube algorithm. And most importantly, please click the subscribe button and enable notifications, because this way you'll get an instant update from me about future training videos. Please check out all the other playlists that I have on our channel. We have playlists on stimulus benefits, we have playlists on managing your money, and unemployment benefits crash course that you definitely want to check out. So go ahead and do that. One last time, please go ahead and click subscribe below. Please enable notifications and please click the like button because it helps the YouTube algorithm. Thank you so much. I'll see you in the next training video. Bye.